welcome to Obidati Family. The program is Possible Nigeria right here, and my name is King Kamsi, for those who prefer to call me with the title. And today on the show, we'll be discussing the role of education in a possible Nigeria, the kind of Nigeria that we hope that P2B is going to bring for us. Nigeria, a new Nigeria that's going to give hope to the hopeless, and also it's going to bring encouragement to those who've lost encouragement. Usually I don't do this alone. I'm usually with Chooks, but today I have Joy as my my right-hand winger, but in this case, my left-hand winger. What's up? How are you doing, Joy?
Good morning, Kamsi.
Good morning. Amazing to have you close to me through the day. Okay, quickly, because of time, we just have a few minutes to rush up. So I'm going to be introducing our guest, who is a medical doctor and one who is very learned at that, and also a very strong supporter of Mr. Peter Obi, who has in times past and currently shown wonderful knowledge of the foundations of Nigerian politics and how a possible and a greater Nigeria should exist here in this time of our lives. I have another person with me than Dr. Uchenna Nwabweze. Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Uchi.
Be on the show.
Thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, I told you earlier, it's been a hassle trying to get you to the show, but finally, thank God you could make out time to join us on the show. Okay, let's get into it quickly. Before any other thing, I would love to know, why have you decided to support Mr. Peter Obi?
Why have I decided? I did not just decide. Okay. I did not just decide to support Peter Obi. I have always been an ardent follower of Peter Obi, right from his governorship days, because I saw a difference in his style of leadership, right? In a country where people's style of leadership is usually about white elephant projects. And, at a point, the bar for leadership or for performance for elected officials became so low, and people did not even understand what leadership and development was all about. You could see elected officials, they would concentrate on building roads, building, that was basically their own metric for, accessing performance and delivery of good governance. But when Peter Obi came in as governor, you could see how you could see the direction he was going in, and you could see how he understood that education was the most important economic driver in any society. Without education, without educating the young ones, they are the ones that will make up the society tomorrow. That means you're leaving a generational gap that's going to come back to haunt the society the same tomorrow. So, and then in a whole lot of other ways, his leadership was just different, holistic. And I basically became a student of Peter Obi's, leadership school of thought. And I have studied him, I have followed him for over 10 years, over 15 years, actually. So I did not just decide to support him. I've always told myself that any day this man runs for any office at all, I will be right there in front. So I did not just decide to support. I am basically I don't know the word to use, but I'm I'm a follower.
Thank you for the clarification. At least the message has been sent home. So we're moving to the topic that we're discussing today: the role of education in a possible Nigeria. We've seen countless times how our principal, Mr. Peter Obi, has consistently talked about the role of education and healthcare being the two major, strands that propagates nation building. And a lot of that. But we're keeping it strictly on education today. I know you're also a master in the health sector. So if we talk about the two angles, you could come in vividly. But let's look at the education right now and compare it to our current day educational challenges that we face in Nigeria. The most competitiveness is now zero. We can talk about education and Nigeria in the same sentence again, or quality education and Nigeria in the same sentence again, because it is abysmal what we're facing today. So looking at Peter Obi right now and the manifesto of Mr. Peter Obi, he's dropped a lot about education in that manifesto. So I just want you to give us some clarification into that. What is that change that Mr. Peter Obi will be bringing into the educational sector that will make Nigeria a possible Nigeria, and a Nigeria that will be able to compete globally in terms of quality education?
Okay, so one thing about Peter Obi as a leader is that he is always willing to learn. That is what I love the most about him. Now, there are countries that mirror Nigeria in terms of population, in terms of demography, and everything. In terms of being multi-ethnic, multi-tribal, and all of that. So one thing I want you to understand is that these are models that Peter Obi is definitely going to bring into Nigeria, because there are countries that have been where we are right now and they have managed to get out of it. So the thing is, no leader even needs to bring anything novel, basically. There are countries who have gone through these phases and they've been able to get themselves out of it. And there are things that they did. But then let me go back to when Peter Obi became governor of Anambra State, right? Like I said, he understood that one of the most important economic drivers in any society is education. And without education, without educating tomorrow, you're leaving a generational gap that is going to harm society tomorrow. So when he became governor, one thing that was lacking in Anambra State was public education. Yeah, the private sector, the private educational sector was doing pretty okay, but even they were struggling. But you know that education is expensive, and there is no way you can educate a society without finding a way to reduce the cost of education on the society. And in order to achieve that, the government has to be involved, holistically involved. So what he did was, it was a step-by-step process, right? He first of all empowered the private educational sector to be able to bear, more educational burden that they were already bearing, because these places already had the foundation, right? So while they were doing that, he then faced the public educational sector. Now he revamped schools, and like he always said, right? He never changed anything. He never changed the teachers. He did not employ new teachers. He did not. What he did was he filled a gap that was existent, which was supervision. It wasn't there, and everything went to rot. So he filled that gap, and then that's by giving the school prefect his phone numbers directly. He was able to get direct interaction and be able to understand what the schools needed at any given time. And the truth is, like I usually tell people, corruption is the bane of all the problems in our society. When public money is not deployed to work for public good, that is just it. Because when you look at what Peter Obi did, when you look at the sums he used to revamp each school and everything, you see that if he was the kind of person that decided to embezzle, then that chasm will still be existent. But he didn't do that. He sent the money into these schools. All the public schools had computer labs, were fully equipped. And then even the mission schools, what people did in Anambra State with education was crazy. Starting from basic education, across 3 tiers, public schools, the mission schools, which I would class as intermediary, then the private institutions, empowered all of them, and then went over to the universities, right?
Mm.
The Nnamdi Azikiwe University, the Anambra State University, and all of that. They all got empowerment in the form of grants and all of that. No loans, actually, grants mostly. And the use of these grants were supervised, very, very supervised. And you could see how even little money that was put, every little money that was put into every school, the results the result was obvious. Why? Because there was supervision and there was commitment from the leader himself. So this is what Nigerians should expect. Peter Obi is going to, like he always says, he will declare war on power. You know, if you want to see war, I need Nigerians to watch out for the education sector. That is where the war is going to start. Because without that, we are not talking about moving forward as a society. That is the truth.
Mm. You've said quite a lot on the education sector and how Mr. Peter Obi was able to achieve that in Anambra State. But the argument here for a lot of Nigerians is Nigeria is a much wider a circle, or should I say, more wide triangle. That's more. It's better to compare the shape of Nigeria as a triangle than a circle. And people have argued consistently that if he could go around Anambra State, which happens to be the smallest state in Nigeria, correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe one of the smallest. I think Lagos is in terms of landmass. And he was able to achieve that in Anambra State. Speak about doing that in 36 states, some that are even 9 times the size of Anambra State. Is it possible to get his number to every senior prefect in Nigeria? Is it possible
No.
to have close supervision? This is the argument, so please address that.
Now, I want you to understand, like I said, I want you to understand Peter Obi's style of leadership, right? There is a Peter Obi in every part of this country. The problem is those particular people are being shut out from politics and the management of this country. I want you to take, for example, look at the profile of his running mates. If Peter Obi was more interested in winning election, you can agree that there is a certain profile he would have gone for. But if you look at the profile of his running mates, you can see that he went for somebody with the same values, with the same core values and morals, and with the same determination to see public money work for public good, basically with the same style of leadership. Now, before Datti became Peter Obi's running mate, I am sure that majority of Nigerians did not know who he was. I don't know about the North. I don't want to sound like, but down south, I'm sure majority of the people down south did not know who Datti was. But he has been a revelation. And you can see that people like this exist all over the country. The problem is we have shut them out from leadership positions, from our country's politics. We've shut them out from our country's development. And we have handed over the development of this country to people who do not care about the development, to people who only care about themselves, to feudalists. That is the problem. Now, Peter Obi is going to find a Peter Obi in every single state, every single local government in this country. They exist. There was an interview I was watching where I think it was the chairman or some president of agricultural something. I forgot the name of the association. And if you listen to this man, you could see, in fact, I could automatically see that this man would have a role to play in Peter Obi's cabinet. And not quite long after that, I found out that he was on the PCC list. So you listen to him, and he's talking about recommendations and things that could be done. But because the government has shut them out, there was no way to bring these things to the front. And by already having him on his PCC, you can already see that this person is going to form a vital part of Peter Ob's government. So no, I do not expect Peter Obi to be in the 36 states of Nigeria or in the 776 local governments. No. But what I expect him to do, and which he has already started to do, is to identify a P2P in every single local government. And those are the people that he's going to use to drive these things. Of course, Nigeria is a state that has the whole due process and all of that. But like I said, the gap that always exists in all of these things is the supervision. And these are the people that he's going to use. People that have like minds as him. So that is the most important thing. So if it's about getting it done, that will never be a problem for Peter Obi. If you look at his cabinet when he was governor of Anambra State, he did not have any career politicians in his cabinet. And like I always tell people, I'm sorry I keep going on and on. Like I always tell people, we cannot achieve development as a people if we do not make elective and appointive offices as financially unattractive as possible. Now, when you look at Peter Obi's cabinet as a governor, and you look at where all those people are right now, you can see that what they are doing right now in their own areas of specialization is more financially attractive than being in Peter Obi's government. So you see that when you finish serving Peter Obi, when you finish serving in Peter Obi's government and you look around, you realize that being in government even makes you poorer. So you decide if you want to stay because you want to drive change, or you want to leave and go pursue money in your own specialization. So that is the basic thing. So basically what I'm saying is Peter Obi is going to find a Peter Obi in every local government. You can believe that.
Okay, it's quite a lot you have to say. I know you have a mouthful, but there's been arguments. There's also been arguments, and all I'm doing right now is raising arguments from the opposing sides. A lot of people have talked about the Almajiri in the north, and some of the people who have also refused totally to accept westernized education and the way it could drive value to the economy. How can Mr. Peter Obi handle that situation?
Now, it boils down to the same thing I was saying, right? Let me tell you a bit about the politics of the north. I'm not claiming to understand it completely, but from the little that I understand, there are two classes of politicians in the north. I think there are the feudalists. I think there are the progressives. Now, sometimes they overlap. The both classes, you can find people who overlap both classes. Of course, there are the conservatives and there are the progressives and there are the conservative progressives. All these groups exist. The problem with the North is that the progressives have been shut out of their politics. Now, I want you to look, you know, when Peter Obi is doing what he's doing, right? I want you to look beyond the rave. I want you to look beyond the jamboree. I want you to look beyond everything you can see on the surface. You can see that Obidati, they are determined to empower an entirely different crop of leaders in the North who believe in educating the Almajiri child. Now, Goodluck Jonathan tried to do it. He tried to educate them. But the problem that he faced was that the leadership in the North was still Almajiri-centric, you know, and Another problem that exists is that the North sees Almajiri as a part of their culture.
Mm.
So there is a high chance of meeting pushback if you are attempting to eradicate Almajiri. Growth happens in stages. There are places where you attempt radical growth and it's going to blow back on you. Now, it's going to be phase by phase, right? Like there's something he keeps saying. He said, meet them at the point where they are learning the Quran and teach them skills. You can come up with programs that you can intertwine with whatever their daily life has been. Empowerment comes in different phases. But the truth is this: 8 years is not enough for the things that need to be done. But that is why I love the Obidati ticket. Because when P2B is done, Dati is going to be next in line, hopefully, God willing, health permitting. And you can see that this is somebody that will definitely continue on the same path. So, like I said, for something that has been a culture for so long, I don't think our focus should be on eradicating it. I think the focus, and I think that is the same direction that P2B is looking at, should be towards a change of mindsets, meeting them at their point of current existence, and teaching them skills, giving them the tools to be able to make a decision for their own future. And then gradually, you're going to start to empower the kind of leaders in the North that have similar beliefs, because they exist. That is the truth. They exist. During this campaign period, I spent about 2-3 months across the North, right? Because we went on a flood relief medical mission. And I met people. And I spoke to people. And even my secondary school, I did my secondary school in the North. So I know these people. So when you see certain people who try to entrench these systems negatively, it's simply because they belong to a different class of politics.
Well, and Dr. Oshina.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You said a lot of good things. Thank you so much. But quickly, I want to get your opinion on the ASUU strike stuff. How can Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, handle the issue of ASUU strike in Nigeria when he becomes the president?
You see, most of the reasons for ASUU strike is funds. Then some of the reasons are infrastructure. But basically, remuneration, infrastructure, those are the two basic things. Now, if you read Peter Obi's manifesto, you would see that he is proposing to create a kind of system where the private sector becomes involved in funding public education. So the model he's proposing is where maybe a company like MTN, for example, comes in, takes over a particular department in a university, or takes over a particular university entirely and starts to fund it. Now, in that way, whatever they are doing is deducted from their taxes for the particular year. Now, why is this necessary? You know that, like you rightly said, Nigeria is complex, a lot more complex than Anambra State, right? It's not a place where you can just achieve things by passing, like you said, senior prefects having his phone numbers and all of that. No. a lot of problems in Nigeria happen at the point of procurement. Now the taxes are collected. The taxes are collected from these multinationals, MTN and all these places. Now, what are these taxes used for? Are they deployed to work for the people? A lot of it is unaccounted for. Like I keep saying, majority of the problem in Nigeria is corruption. Now, what that model hopes to achieve is take the money out of the hands of the people who might want to steal it. Because if the normal tax model continues, you may find it difficult to account for the money. But if you say MTN, take over the school, fund it, infrastructure and everything, and then whatever you put in is deducted from your taxes, you see that you bypassed bottlenecks and loopholes where your money could possibly get missing. So this is a little bit of what his manifesto talks about, allowing private entities to fund public education. So, and then he's also going to meet, because a lot of problems about these things is lack of transparency from the leaders. Now, when he meets with ASUU leaders, they're going to sit down and make commitments to each other. Now, a lot of these leaders, when they know that you are somebody that, is committed to getting things to work, there is a very high chance that they're going to be patient with you. So, what am I saying in essence? Now, I don't want anybody to expect magic within the first 2 years. A lot is going to happen. ASUU may even go on another strike because the problems already exist. Yeah, ASUU might even go on another strike within the first 2 years. And that is when the negotiations are going to happen. That is when the agreements are going to be reached. And then after that, I trust that it's going to be smooth sailing. Because all of this happened in Anambra State when Peter Obi was governor. There was a lot of rancor within the first 2 years. But within that time, he stabilized everybody, gave commitments to everybody, and everybody went to work. So that's it, basically. His manifesto explains that as much as possible.
Dr. Uche, I really want to go. I think that was a brilliant way to answer the ASUU strike question. Just like you said, you noted that possibly they were going to experience another strike in the first 2 years, possibly. But then Nigerians should be patient and understand. And that is where another argument comes in from opposition sides. And like I said, we're taking just arguments from opposition sides now and breaking it down and giving them the possible replies. So this is what a lot of opposition supporters are saying about the ASUU strike, that it is out of one, the greed of some of these university workers, because the federal government at this time introduced them a payment system called IPPIS. And this is one of the reasons why the ASUU has gone back and forth with the federal government, trying to replace the IPPIS with their own payment system called the UTAS. And also, we've also seen that when the IPPIS was introduced, that a lot of ghost workers were uncovered in that manner. And knowing that Mr. Peter Obi is someone who doesn't tolerate inappropriate activities in the system of government. So definitely he's not one to accommodate some system, a payment system with fault, and a payment system that might have lapses of accommodating ghost workers and, a lot of other misappropriations that come in between. So right now, the opposition party is arguing to the possibility of Mr. Peter Obi handling ASUU strike holistically, borrowing words from you, like you've said from the beginning. So please just address that, because I know you already touched on that, but just address that and how Mr. Peter Obi can be able to, take out the greed, and what would he give them in place of the perceived greed by some of Nigerians.
Okay, now I'll approach this argument like this. People often remember three arms of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. Three arms. But I always tell people there's a fourth arm of government that people often forget, and that is the office of the citizen. That is the fourth arm of government. Now, where problems start to come up for you as a leader is when you do not communicate with your people. That is something that I believe is going to be different in Peter Obi's administration. Again, I use his antecedents to judge because the past is a springboard to the future. So, going by his antecedents, communication is not going to be a problem. Now, the office of the citizen has been very redundant for a while because, number one, we have had leaders who were not elected by the city. So they never cared about activating the office of the citizen. Two, we have had leaders who do not appreciate the importance of the office of the citizen, who do not even recognize the office of the citizen. Now, the office of the citizen has the power to hold even the legislative, even the judiciary, even the executive accountable. And that is a very important office that Peter Obi's administration is going to activate. In fact, his campaign has already activated the office of the citizen. I am sure that you can already see a lot of things, a lot of citizen involvement, and in fact, a lot of us would even often say that we never imagined that we would be this involved in Nigerian politics before Peter Obi's movement. So that is a very, very critical factor. Now, when you communicate with the citizens, they understand. Now, when you communicate and the citizens can see that ASUU is the problem in this particular incident, then the citizens begin to demand accountability from ASUU. Because there are different styles of leadership. And as a leader, you have the power. If you are a people-centered leader, you can actually, like I said, activate the office of the citizen, set the people against these people, and let them answer to them, and let them explain why they are keeping students away from the schools because of their greed. We ask them questions. Now, if in a Peter Obi government, you can be certain that if you protest, you're not going to be shot. So these are the little things here and there, clusters here and there that are going to come into play a lot. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, you've said a lot, and we are grateful. We're gonna let you go, but before you go, a very quick one. We want to know the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, our principal Peter Obi, he spoke a lot concerning brain drain and to brain gain. We want to know, I want to get your own opinion. Do you think it's possible, the narrative of brain drain to brain gain, do you think it's possible to achieve that in a new Nigeria?
Brain drain to brain gain, to drain gain, not brain gain, brain drain to drain gain. Now, yes, it's very possible. But I don't think it's in the sense that people are looking at it, because people are looking at diasporans coming back and all of that. Yeah, that could happen much later when things have become very, 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 very better, very, very much better. But the way I'm looking at it is in the way of diaspora remittances, right? Diaspora remittances will massively increase in a country that is seen to be working. Now, when you look at the breakdown of diaspora remittances, a huge percentage of it goes to family welfare. In fact, about 90% of it goes to family welfare. Burials, taking care of parents, and all of that. There's a breakdown somewhere. Now, the remittances, when they begin to go to actual investments, development, you see that those remittances begin to lift the society, the community. That is a trend that is being talked about. Now, those actual ones are not coming in because the environment is not favorable, the polity is not favorable for their money. So they're not going to bring it in. So what they are sending is family welfare. Now, when you create an enabling environment for them to actually trust in the country, trust in the polity, and trust that their money is safe when they bring it home, you're going to see it unlocked. You're going to see it opened up. The remittances are going to start coming in. The foreign remittances are going to more than triple, quadruple. So they start coming in into investment, into other areas and all of that, even into education. And then you see brain drain being converted to drain gain. So it's not about people.
Yeah.
No, that is not what it's about.
Okay, Dr. Uche, a lot has been said, and you have totally proven to be one of those obedient supporters who's very knowledgeable about Mr. Peter Obi's antecedents and what the future looks like with Mr. Peter Obi. I want to say thank you so much. I know you've given off so much of your time just to make this possible. Like I said, it's been a struggle getting you on the show. But I'm going to plead that we have one more episode with you before we get to the D-Day of the elections. So people can hear more from you because today we wouldn't have so much time to touch on a lot of things that I would have loved us to touch on, especially speaking to unmotivated people and voters who are still undecided about where to place their thumbprint on the day of election. Likewise, education as it pertains to students who are not given a chance to vote, and a lot of topical issues I'd love you to touch on. So please, if you make it a point of a duty to free up your time. I know there are a lot of patients to save and get back on their feet, but please make it a point of duty to meet up with us sometime. So thank you so much, Dr. Uche Nwabueze, a medical doctor and one of those obedience supporters, and I'd really love to hear more from. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And to all of our viewers who stayed true up to this time and joined me, myself, and Joy, and listen to the conversation. Definitely, you can also join the conversation on social media. It is Obidati Family TV on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And also, you could reach out to us on WhatsApp. Definitely, we could have conversations with you as well if you're one of those obedient supporters who wants to voice out about your choice and why you have decided to stand with Mr. Peter Obi. Definitely want to hear from you as well. Thank you so much for joining myself. Enjoy the program. It's Possible Nigeria. We're going to be here same time tomorrow to make sure we dissect more about the Peter Obi manifesto and all that is enshrined in that beautiful pact with Nigerians. You know that the manifesto was rated the best amongst all the candidates.
Exactly.
16 candidates and one manifesto was brought out and dated and made the best and spoken about. So it's a document that's filled with ideas. Reading alone, you can even think about how to better your family from reading that manifesto, really. So it is one that's touched every sphere of life. So, Joy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
The next program that's going to be coming up is Obidati
Family TV.
on Obidati Family TV. So please don't go anywhere and stay with us.
Labour Party, Labour Party, Labour Party, Labour Party, LP, can you get a vote? Labour Party, Labour Party, LP, can you get a vote? Labour Party, Labour Party, Labour say, Mama Papa na want Labour Party, Mama Papa na want. Mama Papa na want to be Labour Party. Mama Papa na want to be Labour Party.